from there. I think that we all know this effectively started when we celebrated 10th anniversary of the EFF, which was successful at the FNB Stadium. And subsequent to that, we launched our manifesto at Moses Mabhida. And when we launched our manifesto, or announced that we are launching our manifesto at Moses Mabhida, everybody developed an interest on Mabhida, and everybody started going to Moses Mabhida because they had not realized that there's too much voter constituency in the KZN which can be tapped into, and that whatever amount of numbers you take from KZN will really be a serious boost to the organization that has made an effort. And as a deliberate move, we went to KZN and decided we don't want anyone from outside KZN. We want everyone who is from KZN, strictly from KZN. Because we said we need to go and break the new ground. But the EFF's inspiration was necessarily inspired by 2021, where EFF got more than 330,000 unexpected votes. And we took that as a loud whispering by the KZN people who were saying we are ready for the EFF. Therefore, we went to KZN. And then from there, we went all over South Africa to launch our manifesto. Firstly, Mabhida was successful, and there's no single other manifesto which we launched after Mabhida, which was not successful. Rallies by their own nature, you convene, or in the rallies, the people who are converted are the ones who converge. So you bring the ones who are converged into one place, and those undecided. So when people run a campaign, they run a campaign on undecided voters. You don't run a campaign on strongly EFF or strongly opposed to EFF. Strongly opposed to EFF, you don't waste time. So when you do a rally, you are targeting that undecided voter who looks at the beauty and the success of the rally and the speeches thereof, and then makes a decision. Some just look at TV even before they hear the speech because they are so undecided. You just hear a person say, my organization, because they can see that this is a serious organization. So they are not a waste of time. Their target is an undecided voter. And most of our people get influenced by that. And then we now are engaged in town halls, especially in the minority areas, because there is a say. I didn't know, Buddhali, that there was a say that I'm antichrist. I only heard that when I arrived at El Dorado Park, and I asked the EFF people as to what is your response when they say I'm antichrist, and they were all giving all sorts of answers. But there's a simple answer to give to ordinary masses of our people who are being deliberately misled. You just say, Malema built the house of the Lord in honor of his mother in Seshio and went to open it with Jacob Zuma. How does he become an antichrist? So, and you can see these guys are like, okay, give me the speech where I said I'm antichrist. They're trying to find it. But it's a big question which needs a simple answer. So we go into the town halls in the minority areas, in the virgin areas where we never had a strong presence, to come and speak to people about our manifesto and allow them briefly to raise their concerns, because we are no longer in the process of drafting manifesto. We have heard what people want, and we are dealing with that. But as an ongoing engagement with our people, we give them that opportunity to to ask us questions. We have established what we call branch election task forces all over South Africa. A branch election task force is an election structure of a ward-based. And we also establish VDETFs, which are called Voting District Election Task Force. Voting district, we normally call it voting station. So each voting station in South Africa gives us 8 people. And then those are the people who campaign for the EFF. Not 8, 30. 30 people. I know Limpopo is 30. But a minimum of 20, 30 people. From that, we take 8 as party agents, females and males. And amongst the party agents, we want some people with some pre-matric qualification, former civil servants, former professionals, former student activists. Why? The presiding officers of IEC bully illiterate, innocent people in the villages. So you find a presiding officer is a principal of that village. He's the only one who's got a buggy. When people are sick, he's the one who takes them to the hospital. And then you go there, you are an EFF party agent. He says all party agents must sit at the door during counting. When you try to speak, he looks at her, wena, and then you're like, hey, let me withdraw because this guy knows our family problems. So we need someone who can be up to that principal or no, wait. I was a principal myself before. I'm a retired principal. I was a presiding officer. You can't say I must stand there. I have to stand here. Once those credentials are revealed, then they retreat because they know they are not dealing with people who are not necessarily clued up with the Electoral Act and Code of Conduct. Then from there, we are going to have our rally on the 25th of May in Limpopo, Peter Mokaba Stadium. We've got weekly reporting meetings where every structure from VD, branch, sub-region, region, province has to report about how many people did you speak to. We don't care whether they said they will vote for EFF or not. But at least you should have spoken to not less than 10 million people who say, we have heard of an animal called the EFF directly. Because they will never vote for a party they never heard of. So you ought to go and speak to them. And the good thing with the campaign of door-to-door is that you are not searching in darkness. You are carrying a voter's role. So when you enter my family, you don't say, how many voters are in this house? You say, where's Julius Malema? Where's Ronnie Malema? Where's Tsepo Malema? You call them from the voters' roll. Then you talk to them. Then you ask them, after talking to them, will you vote for the EFF? I'm not sure. Some say yes, some say no. Then you write them down, you write their contacts and all of that. You bring them to us. And then we capture them and then send them to head office as a province. The head office has got an existing operation center where ordinary members of the EFF call those people that you said you spoke to ask them, has anyone come to speak to you about the EFF? So that is portfolio of evidence. So that we don't just assume people are being spoken to only to find that people are passing time, are actually not doing the work. So the call center will call. We have established a call center. That call center, by the election time, each sub-region will be having its own agent that deals directly with that sub-region. Yesterday alone, we called 140,000 people because I just inquired about yesterday. So directly, and those are the calls that went through. Remember, some don't go through, and then we keep on repeating them. So we go around doing door-to-door. Our campaign is mutu-mutu. So you have to speak to people directly. Every other thing, if you say we did a march, we did a bash, we did a mini rally community meeting, it doesn't account for anything. Those are cherries on top. The only thing we are interested in is how many people have you spoken to and where is the portfolio of evidence. And then the National Operations Center calls those people, including the party agents. So these 8 party agents must submit them, we're going to call them, confirm them, engage them in a training. Then the same thing with election task forces. If you say this is a regional task force, it must have names, surnames, ID numbers, and telephone numbers. Sub-region the same, the branch the same, VD the same. The people who are going to be party agents must be coming from that VD. We don't borrow students to go and become party agents at Houghton. There must be volunteers. Don't tell us, no, it's a suburb. There's no suburb without black people. Anyway, we know that white people can't service themselves. They need us to service them. So there is us somewhere there in the suburb to service white people. So you can't say this is pure white people. It's not true. It's a lie. It means you are not doing your work. Because in that suburb, there is a bus rank. That confirms there are people here. In that suburb, every corner in the evening, you'll find domestics in a group in that corner sharing the notes of the bosses. So yesterday it was difficult. So they are there, and you can find them if you want, even if you are looking for them. We are the best in the distribution of posters in South Africa. No one comes close to us. Why? We use our own structures. So we've got a team in each town, in every ward, called postering team. It must have names, say names. The buggy they are going to use, we need its inner teeth to check if there is such a vehicle. And you must submit a picture of portfolio of evidence of the buggy, the step ladder, and the people going on top of poles, putting up posters. Someone sent me a message yesterday at 4 a.m. that Metro Police is removing our posters under M1 and M2 and all of that. We send that to MMC or Public Safety. If it's not allowed, it's okay, but it can only be EFF. So everybody else must not put. We are ready to comply with everything. So we have a television advert that will launch soon, I think beginning of May. We're just waiting for ICASA to make allocations. We have a radio advert. We've got adverts in the newspapers, including News 24. But News 24 makes some terrible rule. It says, for you to have an advert in our newspaper or online, you must come as 3 different parties, 3 competing parties to come and say, we 3 of us want to. You can hear that level of madness. No? That I must go and talk to Steinesen and then talk to Bosa, Musima Emmanuel. Let's go and make an advert at News 24. So they are making that rule for simple reason. They know what's going to happen. They know the Oppenheimers will place an advert of Rise Mzansi, Sarah, and Bosa. And say, no, but they came 3 of them. They made the requirement. But when you check all of them, they're the same thing. How do you get the adverts of Moon Pact into the News 24 platforms and you don't have others? They know there is no one who can come with the EFF. Therefore, EFF is barred from advertising on the News 24 platform. They use some funny strategy to exclude you because they know even if you go to PAC, even if you go to Azapo, they will not afford to advertise on those platforms. So the EFF is excluded from advertising on the News 24 platform. Because when that rule was presented, I just knew what it means. I know how racists operate, and I know how racists exclude people. So when that came, I knew this is a strategy not to have the EFF on the News 24 platform. But otherwise, all of newspapers, except ENCA, by the way, will be able to to advertise on those platforms. And we have no problems with ENCA. All they need to do is to apologize. And you all know that, and you all know they've done us wrong. And now in December is going to be a 5th year. So they still stand another good chance because the NPA is coming. They can apologize directly to NPA in December. We don't see why the IEC is appealing Zuma judgment. It's really very, very personal. And by doing that, they are keeping President Zuma in the news. By doing that, they are making President Zuma gather rallies outside every court appearance. So the court appearances are being organized by the IEC. We might be thinking the IEC is acting against Zuma, only to find that Mashinini is behind the strategy of the IEC to keep Zuma in the news. So you must not sleep. I mean, for the first time we saw Advocate Ngugai Tobi struggling. And then he came at the JSC there. I went to him and I was like, I was here busy interviewing judges, but the social media observers are not giving it to you this time. He said to me openly, that one we've lost. Because he knows there is no case. So if they know there's no case, what is going to happen? Why are they doing what they are doing? And some silly mistakes that are being committed by the IEC. Remember, we have got 110% confidence on the IEC. But they are making so many stupid mistakes in a year where the election is highly contested, where they're supposed to be perfect. We are going now for 30 years of democracy. They've got the necessary experience. I mean, go and look at that signing of the code of conduct by the IEC. Anele was right to demand a picture. Why are you asking for my picture? You don't publish it. And you publish logos. My picture is my logo. It's me as an independent candidate. They didn't have that. They went to do raffle there, took out a name of an independent in-state of a political party. Why do you put independents and political parties in one basket? Why? And the woman who was presiding over that code of conduct signature thing, she did not have a brief of what was happening. She didn't know what was happening. That thing was supposed to be seamless to inspire confidence. She's chairing that thing. Half the time she's been corrected by that guy. There's a guy there who came and said, you can't call an individual. Here it's a slot for political parties. That time they had called Zagi Ahmad. And you saw how happy she was. When the name of a political party came, the whole smile disappeared. And you may find it was only Zagi Ahmad's name in that thing of independence. Because also I was questioning, why do you guys agree that there must be balls in some shuffling thing, but you have never seen the names that are in that ball? What if the EFF name is not there? Each party must be given its name. A ball must be put there. We must all line up dropping the ball inside that shuffling thing to be sure there is a name of the EFF. Even after the event, they don't open those things to show you, no, they are political parties in these things. All of them are here. You don't see that. In a highly contested elections. Then, they shuffle. That guy of DA in Western Cape, Madigizela, becomes number one. His party becomes number one on the ballot paper. To show she's not sure what is she doing. She then calls political parties as they appear on the ballot paper to come and sign.
But parties as they appear on the ballot paper, Madikizela's party is supposed to be number 1. So what is the benefit of being number 1? Because you just won the number 1 spot now. We had to wait even for a moment for the ballot paper to be changed and then be placed again on the board. Madikizela, what is Madikizela's party, man? African something. It's number 1. But no, we are going to call parties according to how they appear on the ballot. They jump Madikizela, they do the old. Because once you are number 1, you start benefiting from those things immediately. And to be called to give a speech as number 1, about 2 minutes each, you are likely to give 3-4 minutes because people are not yet tired. And after you, they're like, we're going to stick to time now, but you are done. Those are the benefits of being number 1. But that was ignored because she insisted on chairing that thing. She was not supposed to chair that particular thing. All of this, without a letter, I called the CEO of IEC. I said, you can't do what you are doing because this election is going to be the most difficult election. Once you go and mess up on the day, instead of us rallying behind you, everybody is going to be listing, but they did this, they've been coming. So you can't afford to make that horrible mistakes. And that includes leaking the list of other parties. I'm just happy they did not go anywhere close to the EFF list in terms of leaking, because we were going to tell you the name and the address of a person who leaked our list. Because we're not going to allow that nonsense of a person undermining democracy. But nonetheless, I think all are the issues that we as the EFF are doing. I spoke about the ENCA that is more than welcome to the EFF. The News 24 has made it its business to decampaign the EFF. And we're being nice and we're being polite. And when we respond, we're going to be called anti-media freedom, anti-this, anti-that. There is no organization that has this kind of interactions with the media and highly accessible to the media in South Africa other than the EFF. Organizations, I speak of parties that are well represented in parliament, not these things that are run from the boots of cars. So, of all parties, we are the most transparent. We are here. That's why we are here. We have been here before. We always have press conferences. We couldn't have this time around as often as we want to have because of the program on the ground. But you've got a media house that has taken a decision to just be anti-EFF. Mazoti gives EFF 200,000 in 2014 as a contribution. That is a sin he has ever committed, because if he had not paid that money, this animal won't be here. That is his punishment. Leave cigarette, what. Then they say Mazoti is the biggest funder of the EFF, biggest funder. Ombudsman says, big relative to which one? Because you must compare them. Do you have others? Two. Which other donations has Mazoti ever made since 2024? No, that one of 2014, that one of 20, no, only that one of 2014. So why do you call him the current funder of the EFF? And you say EFF is even better because he made donation. And then Malema, why do you say he's the biggest funder of Malema? What do you have? That Mazoti is a funder of Malema? The whole newspaper, Adrian, having taken a personal racist decision and chose to become typical of a racist white boy who suffers from white privilege, attacks the EFF unprovoked, and does that consistently, now came with the rules that exclude the EFF, because the rest of other parties, they can come together carrying each other. They are funded by one person. EFF has to go and look for other partners for it to advertise on News 24. Talk about suppressing other political parties. The right to express ourselves is being violated. So we are going to take News 24 to the Electoral Court, because we cannot allow a media platform to run a political campaign against other political parties. They need to declare that it is free and fair for certain parties who want to advertise on that platform to be excluded on the basis that their competitors are refusing to come with them, to come and advertise. When the DA opens its mouth all the time, says, no EFF, will never work with the EFF. Imagine where you're going to get the DA to come and advertise with you when he told you that you are actually nothing. Tina Jumat was killed after the reports were given that Tina Jumat, there's threats on her life, and she was being questioned by the Hawks and all of that. None of you has ever have an interest on what happened to that person. She's gone now. There's no clear, no one can give me a clear explanation. But what comforts me is that when the public protector reported this to Parliament, the Speaker, Mapisa Ngakula, defended this mess. And when it was her turn, they didn't defend her. That's good. That's how they eat each other. But there was recordings where Tina Jumart was saying bribes are needed from Pemima Jodina, from Janji, from Ugadewetre. Yes. Mapisa. Ngagula was also going to get the portion of her pensions. Nothing. With recordings, she can't say, okay, let's institute some smaller inquiry because there is some prima facie evidence. Nothing. Nothing. And that woman is sleeping now. No justice has been achieved. For her. You have a speaker who is in trouble with the law. That is another arm of the state. You have a chief justice who's in trouble with the law because Zuma has taken him to court that his appointment was not correct. But be that as it may, Chief Justice Zondo made a statement that the ANC made a good decision in 2017 when it elected Cyril Ramaphosa as a president. That was a good decision which saved the country. No one is holding him. And even this professional, including black professional legal bodies, Buddhan, no one has reported him to JCC. Because Mogoeng was charged for commenting about politics in relation to Israel. This one is commenting about politics in South Africa, worse, internal party political issues. There's no discipline against him. That's another, they are doing each other favors. Then you have a president of the country in trouble with the law because Pala will not go away. He can do whatever he wants to do. Let me tell you, there was a case opened by that former DG of intelligence, Fraser. There's a case number. They now have to go and say we decline to prosecute so that we can prosecute him privately. There was a case number. All manner of evidence was presented by Fraser. Till today, that is not an issue. What is an issue? VBS. Malema must speak about VBS. Give me a case number against me on VBS. That is an issue. This is an issue we'll never let go. Where is the case number? Even in the absence of the case number, because of political hatred and political agenda, we must still go after them. Shivambo must account for VBS. Because of VBS, Shibambo's brain economic brain has shrunk. He can no longer be a good economic analyst. He can't make a good minister of finance. He went VBS. There are people who are in the dock now. There is a white man, former CEO of VBS, who was arrested and who confessed, now serving time in jail. People are being prosecuted on daily basis, especially in Limpopo. There's former CFO, CEOs and all of that. Not a single law enforcement officer has ever even sent an SMS to ask us about VBS, including those fraud hawks. You know, there are hawks when they hear, hey, there is a case coming against you, then they start saying, no, I'm so and so from the hawks. There is this thing, we can close it, send this much. Not even a fake call was ever made to us about VBS. But VBS. Because you cannot find anything politically, ideologically, to falter the EFF. That's why Moeletsi Mbeki speaks about the leadership of the EFF, likes nice things. That's why they want houses with swimming pools and all of that. And then you don't ask him if Fidel Castro was a revolutionary. If he says yes, you say, didn't Fidel Castro have a swimming pool? Didn't Fidel Castro have a Rolex watch? The president, former president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, a good dresser of note, a man of style. But if you compare Chavez with Malema, to Malema's haters, Chavez is a revolutionary, but there's nothing that I'm doing different from what Chavez did. Who said Chavez didn't have a pool? And Lenin. What is revolutionary about smoking cigar? Because Fidel Castro used to smoke cigar. But if you were to smoke cigar now, you're going to be taken a picture and be questioned, what is revolutionary about cigar? But Fidel has never been questioned. What is revolutionary about smoking cigar when you're a revolutionary? So, those are the inconsistencies, those things of calling us flip-floppers. Musi Maimane said, we don't need political parties who must contest as independents. Musi Maimane today is contesting as a political party. You have never called him a flip-flop. This one who can't speak properly. Action essay. Mashab. And people said, I'm attacking people who was stuttering. Mashaba is not stuttering. No, it's not. Mashaba doesn't have a proper thought process. So he can't think and speak at the same time. That is a serious weakness in a person. He can't think. And there in Parliament, I was making a simple point. Or when you come with 1 seat or 2 or 3, it's 3 minutes. What is Mashaba going to say there with that kind of articulation? You are wasting your time. He will leave that parliament without having said a word. Imagine that the speaker is the EFF in the coalitions. Mashaba, Honorable Mashaba. Then it starts being worse. By the time he utters first sentence, the time is over. Sit down. That's why you need. Once you stand up, on a point of order, speaker, what's that? It's not point of order, points are made. It's done. Because we are fighting for time. So, Mashaba says the EFF, when he leaves the DA, the EFF is the only party that has never come to me and asked me for tenders. I've got a high respect for the EFF. Today he calls EFF all sorts of names. None of you call him a flip-flop. None of you call President Mandela a flip-flopper. After he said he's going to nationalize, immediately after President Dali was standing next to him there. And then later Mandela said privatization is not a policy of the ANC. Well, nationalization, we're going through privatization. It's not a flip-flop. President Mbeki, who said, how do I do door-to-door? and explain to people to vote for a party which has got Nkabis in their branches. Today he says, I'm available, I'm going to campaign for my party. It's wrong for you not to campaign for the party. It's not being called a flip-flop. Why do you call the EFF flip-flopper? It's because you can't falter it politically and ideologically, and its commitments to fighting for the poor of the poorest. So, we are here to say to you, we are available, and we are a government in waiting, and there's nothing that really can come between us and the union building. The ANC is at its weakest state now. If we miss this opportunity, we're gone, we're out. This is an opportune moment for South Africans to make a serious historical turn, because 1994 we thought we were there, only to realize now that we are now in a more crisis than we were in 1994. So the coalitions, as my last point, we are open to talk to everyone. And our demands are very simple, which have always been. They don't change. Yeah, they can change here and there. And we are not far with many parties on what needs to happen. I mean, ATM, Mazapo, PAC, MK, including the ANC, by the way, on the land question. We are not far apart. We had actually had an agreement. Was it in this hotel? In this hotel, with the ANC, that we are going to expropriate land without compensation. And they developed a cold feet. That we are going to nationalize the Reserve Bank, that we are going to establish the state-owned bank. These two we followed up when we got into Parliament. We made proposals on the nationalization of the Reserve Bank, made a proposal on the establishment of state-owned bank, and the nationalization of mines. And one of the simplest demands we made was remove the stem from the national anthem. We can find another Afrikaans version if you want Afrikaans. But the stem is not an Afrikaans version. The stem, it's a political song which cemented white Afrikaner superiority. And they were singing this song when they were torturing our people. In Flag Plus, when they were having you encaged, they bribe meat there, they drink because they are drunkards. When they get drunk with the smell of their meat, they start singing this song. Today you are a survivor of Flag Plus. You must come and sing the song that is reminding you of the torture. Can you imagine if someone was to stand here and say, let's ask all the Jewish people to sing Hitler's songs? What's going to happen to you? You won't see the light of the day. But we are being made to sing the songs of our oppressors. We are made to pay Budali an apartheid debt, which its weapons were going to kill us. You must pay for the weapons which were meant for your killing. We're being asked that. We can't. We need the EFF to go to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, for real issues, not this pretentious ANC thing of wanting to pretend like they've got a problem with what is happening in Israel. We need to go to ICJ and say, declare this 382 billion apartheid debt as a debt which should not be paid because it was borrowed by a system which you declared a crime against humanity. Someone goes to buy a gun, borrows a gun to come and kill me. Then, ultimately, the killing flops. They say, no, but this guy's got a debt which he took from us to buy a gun to come and kill you, pay. Why has the ANC not said, but we can't allow this? We can't allow this. With the problems that we have in this country, where many of our people go to bed without food, we are servicing the dead, which was meant to kill us. With a budget of 320 billion rands budget deficits. Can you imagine what we can do if that issue is scrapped? They say, no, you no longer pay this. How much we can reduce the international debt and service it at a reasonable rate, because the apartheid debt is taken out of that international debt. All of that has not been touched. It needs the EFF, because no one will ever do that. They are all compromised. No one will ever do that.